Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hobart begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Ouse residents are now left without their only GP clinic after it abruptly closed its doors just weeks after changing ownership. It's raised concerns about a lack of healthcare in regional areas, putting pressure on the state's already strained hospital system.
When the Derwent Valley Mayor heard residents 50 kilometres away were once again left without a local GP, it raised a few hairs.
It's terribly concerning. There's a whole group of people, over 1,000 people are on their books, and suddenly they have no services.
Her municipality has just one GP clinic of its own, and while a new health hub is under construction in the valley, Michelle says it won't fill the void as Ouse residents scramble to find a new doctor.
But as you can see, the building's under construction. It's in no way fit for purpose at this point in time, and it certainly has no capacity to help with those poor people who've lost their GP service out at Ouse.
The centre was on the brink of closure in October last year when some GPs refused the COVID vaccine. But on April 1, Dr Meg McEwen took over the practice, forming Highland Rural Group. Just weeks later, she closed its doors with little notice, and the company who sold her the key claims to have no idea why. In a statement, a government spokesperson said the Department of Health is willing to work constructively with anyone who is willing to deliver the vital service as residents wait for a solution to be found.
I heard the stories from people yesterday who are desperately trying to access regular healthcare and who can't. They need to be assured by this government that they're going to be provided with a solution.
The opposition says it's a glaring omission of a health system in crisis, adding it's time the state government fund more paramedics in rural and urban areas.
If Jeremy Rockcliffe really wants to lead a government of heart, he will make sure that in this budget he funds permanent paramedics for all of Tasmania's ambulance stations.
The government says it has employed 243 full-time paramedics since it came to power, with plans to employ more. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Both major parties have committed funding for healthcare in Bass, including $4 million to the Clifford Craig Foundation's research hub.
It's so important, I think, to continue to support that work, to allow for that translated research to go on here in Launceston.
It is disappointing that the Liberals have waited until an election campaign to commit to a project that ought to have been funded by a responsible government. An Albanese Labor government, if elected, will deliver this important project.
The foundation has been supporting the work of Launceston General Hospital for 30 years. Hobart has again been named one of the hardest cities to secure a rental property across the country. New PropTrack data revealed demand per listing has skyrocketed, up 20% on last year. Weekly prices jumped across the board, with regional Tasmanians bearing the brunt of a 15% increase. The number of days dwellings are listed online before being snapped up now also at a historic low. A woman in her 70s has become the 47th Tasmanian to die from COVID since the pandemic began. Our state recorded 1,212 new infections today, a marginal decline on yesterday's figures. 9 people are being treated specifically for COVID in hospital. The state government says our hospitalisation rate remains at the lowest in the country. The final grapes across Tasmania are being harvested over the next fortnight as vineyards hope for a strong vintage. One group of midwives pitched in today, picking Pinot to support cancer survivors with their very own drop.
In the thick of vintage 2022, the team at Swinging Gate Vineyard have recruited a few extra hands for picking.
None of us are winemakers, we're consumers.
These self-proclaimed madwives from the Launceston General Hospital will be creating their own special edition Pinot Noir. It's the latest in a long line of quirky activities funding their Relay for Life team.
We like to do things a bit differently. We've done a couple of risque calendars. One of the shots was in here at Swinging Gate.
And the girls will make visits to the vineyard and guide the winemaking the taste, they'll be tasting it as we go through, and then we'll bottle it up hopefully for Christmas.
Like many vineyards across the state, Swinging Gate's yield is down by about 20% this vintage, thanks to a dry summer. It's come at the worst possible time, with overwhelming demand for Tasmanian wine.
We've sold out of Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio, Rosé, Frontenac, and all our pet nats. We don't even know that we have enough Pinot to get through. So it could be the embarrassing situation where you're a cellar in Tasmania with no Pinot.
But if you're lucky enough to get a bottle, Doug says this year's vintage is still a top drop. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmanian News.
The next generation of stars have descended on the Tasmanian Dance Expo to show off their best moves. Hundreds participating in both competition and workshops led by 2 locals who've worked with some of the world's biggest performers.
From the dizzying heights of Hollywood, Lockhart Brownlee was bringing his star-studded experiences back to where it all started.
And you're pushing those sliding doors out and you're like, I'm here, yeah.
Worked with Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Britney Spears, Jennifer Lopez, worked on Broadway in the Wicked musical.
The Tasmanian is one of many teachers leading workshop classes and facilitating competitions as part of the second Tasmanian Dance Expo.
About 50 to 70 kids from interstate come down, which is amazing. They strive and aspire to be these dancers that they look up to, the ones who are teaching them. So it's just this like circle of inspiration.
There was no shortage of precision and talent on the floor. As many gave it their all to impress some of the best in the business.
Oh, it's pretty amazing. They've been away to some unreal experiences, and so it's great to be able to work with them and be mentored by them.
I'm from the Gold Coast and I've come with some of my full-time troupe to just meet the other parts of the dance community and dance with people who've been like troopers in the industry, that we don't normally get.
The top talent will battle it out at a final night showcase tomorrow, where $30,000 in scholarships will be awarded to these young aspiring dancers.
We have judges that select the top 5 from each age division, and then they come back on Sunday night to battle it out to be the champions.
Dreaming big of what's to come, these dancers ensured they didn't miss a beat. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmanian News.
To the TSL, and Kingborough have recorded their first triple-figure victory of the TSL season at demolishing Glenorchy. Meanwhile, reigning premiers Launceston put Clarence to the sword with a fierce final quarter performance.
They're the surprise packet of the year so far, and the Baby Rouge travelled north to face their toughest test yet. Launceston had so far blown away all challengers. Kicking the first 2 goals was a good omen, and they carried a 1-point lead at the first change. But the Blues are a hard team to keep down, racing to a 3-goal lead by half-time. A back-and-forth third quarter produced only 1 goal each way. Both defences stood up, but Musica could be in trouble for this late hit. In the end, Lonnie had another gear. Jake Hines finished with 6 majors. Thurlow and Seymour were among the best and finished with multiple goals, as the Blues shrugged off the ruse, winning by 57 points. It's been a cold start to the year for the Pies, still searching for their first win, but they came out hot to kick the opening goal at KG5. In the second term, the Tiger Tools began to find the footy. Big man Tyler Carter had 2 in the first half, but poor kicking hampered their progress as they registered 5 goals 11 at the main break. It was all one-way traffic after that though. Glenorchy could only muster 1 second-half goal as Kingborough piled on 14, including 10 in the final quarter. Carter, Lane and Donnelly all finishing with 4 each as the Tigers won by 108 points. In the final match of the round, North Hobart host Lauderdale on Anzac Day. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmanian News.
The Jack Jumpers are in a tight battle to keep their NBL finals hopes alive. Josh Adams got the Jack Jumpers off to a hot start, hitting shots no matter what Melbourne United threw at him.
Was Adams once more firing, feeling it at the moment. They're 3 of 3 from long range. They've blown Melbourne apart.
But Melbourne have fought back and a short time ago in the third quarter led the Jack Jumpers by 4 points. To make the finals, Tasmania needs to win this game and for Perth to lose to the Phoenix tomorrow. It was a thrilling fight to the finish for Tasmania's under-19 squad at day one of the National Netball Championships in Hobart. A strong defensive structure helped the team hold on throughout the final minutes, bringing the score back to a close margin before they stormed home against the ACT in a heart-racing 1-point win.
We just played a certain style of defence which was really dogged and relentless, and in the end it caused a few turnovers and the ball went our way and we were lucky to get that last goal and get home with a win, so it was really, really pleasing.
The crowd's been incredible. We've been so lucky with all our family and friends coming to support us, so it's been really good to have the home crowd with us, yeah.
Meanwhile, hundreds of fans turned out to watch our under-17s girls who also impressed. All the action continues tomorrow in Newtown.
Tomorrow's forecast now partly cloudy across Hobart and Ouse, Richmond 19. In the north, Launceston early fog, then a sunny day, 18 across Devonport and Deloraine. Burnie and Strawn tomorrow 17, cloudy in Currie. St Helens mostly sunny, partly cloudy across Swansea and Whitemark. 29 and sunny in Perth tomorrow, Adelaide partly cloudy and 34 in Darwin. And currently Hobart 13 and mostly cloudy, Launceston 12, Devonport 13 and clear. That's all in weather, Lou.
Lovely, thanks Jackie, and that's all your news for now. Have a lovely evening.